Hello ladies, gentlemen, and persons in between. My name is Tim Snowborn, and today we're going to continue our conversation on gun control in this episode of Serious Issues. So, last time we talked about what I see as not the only cause of America's gun violence, but certainly a big part of it. Today I want to give a little bit of a gun control rant, not the whole video, but a little bit of a gun control rant followed by a look at some of the most common reasons I've heard against gun control. So right away I want to say something that cannot be said enough. I cannot stress this enough, which is why I'm going to try to have it flashing on the bottom of the screen for literally the remainder of this video. We are not trying to take your guns away. Okay, let me repeat that. We are not trying to take your guns away. For the love of God, get that through your head. This is the reason we can't do anything about all this gun violence in America. Because every time we try to pass some new gun control measure, the Second Amendment enthusiasts out there start going out of their tiny minds, swearing up and down that everything we try is just a Trojan horse to take away their Second Amendment rights. Right before I started recording this video, I was on Twitter and I found this tweet from an NRA member saying, Nancy Pelosi and Dianne Feinstein don't care about bumper stocks. All this is a Trojan horse to get rid of our Second Amendment rights. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to characterize all NRA members or gun owners. I don't think that all gun owners are crazy. I don't even think that all NRA members are crazy. But certainly the crazy ones are pretty loud. So I don't believe that all NRA members, even most perhaps, are against gun control. But they're not in charge, apparently. We know the guns aren't going anywhere. We know we're never going to get rid of the guns. That's never, ever going to happen. All the steps that it would take to repeal the Second Amendment and ban guns and then go house to house taking everybody's guns, that is never, ever going to happen in a million years. And we know that. We know that's never, ever going to happen. Furthermore, I would argue that a good many liberals don't even want your guns taken away. I mean, if it was a states' rights issue and it was up to the states to decide if you could keep your guns or not, I'm sure that some of the blue states would ban them, but I don't think most of them would. I think most liberals agree we don't need to ban the guns. We don't. We can address gun violence without banning the guns. Gun enthusiasts say we have to deal with the gun violence problem without banning guns. We agree. We have to deal with the gun violence problems without banning guns because we know that that's never going to happen. We can address our gun violence problems without banning guns. We've cut down on teen pregnancy without banning sex. We've cut down on smoking without banning cigarettes. We've cut down on obesity without banning junk food. Yes, we have. We have cut down on obesity. I know that obesity is still a problem, but it's less of a problem than it used to be. The fact that overweight people still exist does not prove that obesity is just as big of a problem as it used to be. It isn't. Yes, we're still the fattest country in the world, but it has gotten better. There's no contradiction there. Both of those things can be true. You can say we've cut down on obesity, but we're still overweight. But I digest. The point is, we can deal with this problem without taking your guns away. We really want to do something about this gun violence, but we can't because every time we try, you guys go out of your minds swearing that we're trying to take your guns away. It's never been true. It's never going to be true. I cannot stress this enough. We are not trying to take your guns away. We are just trying to cut down on this violence. So, that said, let's take a look at some of the most common arguments I've heard against gun control. I've been in a number of debates about gun control with gun enthusiasts. After the Vegas shooting, I posted something on Facebook about it and started a very long thread, actually. I had probably a couple of hundred gun enthusiasts coming at me with the same 5 arguments over and over and over and over. Almost none of them had an original thought in their heads. Oh my God, I wish they would read through the thread before posting something you think is an original argument, but absolutely is not. I've heard it all. So the most common argument is that a killer could use another weapon. well, they could use a knife, or they could use a truck, or they could use a bomb, or they could use a hammer, or whatever. Problem is, guys, none of those things are the weapon of choice of mass murderers in America. They almost all use guns. Let's take a look at knives. You can't kill dozens of people from across the room with a knife. You have to get close to your victim, and after you kill the first person, you're going to have to chase the rest of them down because they're all going to run away. Unless you're in an enclosed space, in which case you might be able to kill maybe 3 people before someone tackles you from behind and gets the knife away from you. A truck? Well, you can't sneak a truck into a movie theater or a school, can you? A bomb? Yeah, bombs can cause a lot of damage for sure, but how many know how to make one? How many would go to the trouble of learning how to make one? That takes time and materials and practice before you get it right, and there's a good chance you'll blow yourself up before you figure it out. And if bombs were the weapon of choice for mass murderers in America, then yeah, I bet the materials for making them would be more tightly regulated, the way we regulate Sudafed to keep people from making meth. Similarly, another argument is, well, more people have been killed by blank than by guns. Yeah, but again, blank is not the weapon of choice for mass murderers in America, is it? If you think that a knife, a hammer, a saw, or anything else in your tool shed is just as deadly a weapon as a gun, then why do you need a gun? The second most common argument is that laws don't deter crime. We have the war on drugs, but people still have drugs. The implication is that more gun control laws would be pointless because criminals would ignore them. Well, guys, by that rationale, all laws are pointless. Why have any laws at all if we know that some people are just going to break them? Why have speed limit laws? People violate the speed limit all the time, so why have one? Why have laws against stealing if we know that there are still thieves? Why have a drinking age if we know that kids get drunk? Laws do deter crime. And the fact that you'll be held accountable for your actions if you're caught does make most people think twice about committing a crime. Some of them don't. Some of them risk it. Some of them even get away with it. But most people are deterred by the law. That's why we have the law. It's to discourage crime and punish those who get caught committing them. When they point out that some people will still commit whatever crime you ban, the underlying argument there is that if we can't eliminate the problem 100%, we shouldn't even try. If we ban something and it still happens now and then it was pointless to ban it in the first place. We shouldn't try a solution unless it is 100% effective. If we can't eliminate all shootings and all violence, then we shouldn't even try. It somehow doesn't occur to them that we're trying to minimize the problem. Let me underline that. Minimize. We're trying to minimize the problem. We accept that violence, maybe even gun violence, is always going to be a factor in America. But that doesn't mean we can't try to minimize the problem. Doesn't mean we can't keep things down to a dull roar. We can do something about this problem, or we would be able to if the gun lobby would let us. Another common argument is that, well, this place tried gun control and it didn't work very well for them. They point to a lot of other countries and say, well, they have lots of gun control, but they still have crime. Yeah, they still have crime, but they don't have mass shootings, do they? They don't have thousands and thousands of innocent deaths every year due to gun violence, do they? Well, there was a guy in this country and he killed a bunch of people with a knife. Yeah, but imagine if he had a gun. He could have killed a lot more. They love to point to Chicago. Oh my God, Chicago is the ultimate checkmate for them. Guys, look, Illinois has pretty good gun laws. The surrounding states do not. The surrounding states have shitty gun laws. Laws that are specific to one city or one state are effective, but they're still going to have problems if their neighbors don't have laws like they do. Until everyone adopts the same common sense gun laws, gun violence is going to be a problem even in the states that have good gun control laws. Look who's decided to join me. Okay. So, they claim that gun control laws don't work in cities and states that have tried them. Actually, they do. Cities and states that have good gun control laws have less violence than cities and states that don't. Yes, Illinois and Chicago still have a problem. Again, We're not saying you're going to eliminate the problem 100%, especially when the neighbors aren't even trying. These gun control laws do work, but they work better in states that aren't surrounded by neighbors with bad gun control laws. Another argument we talked about last time is that it's a mental health issue. Okay, you have a point. It's a mental health issue. But until we get our mental health problems under control, maybe it shouldn't be so easy for mentally ill people to get guns. The GOP is trying to make sure that dangerously unstable people have access to guns. They don't want to ban gun sales to violently unstable people. This leads me to my list of recommendations. You've probably heard all of these before, but perhaps they bear repeating. I think we should ban guns for people who have known mental instability. I know we're not going to be able to catch all the crazies out there, but we should at least catch as many as we can. If some psychiatrist decides that this person is unstable and has violent tendencies, they should be obligated to report that person to the police and have the police put them on a no guns for you list. Yes, I know that some crazy people can feign sanity pretty well. Again, I don't expect to catch all the crazies, but we should try to catch as many as we can. Universal background checks. Obviously, no gun should be sold in America without a background check, even between private parties. That's too big of a loophole. You cannot sell a gun to your neighbor without a background check. That should be illegal. No guns for violent convicted felons. If you are convicted of assault, rape, robbery, murder, etc., no guns for you. No guns for suspected terrorists. Can we agree on that? I'm pretty sure the reason the GOP is against banning the sale of guns to suspected terrorists is because, sorry guys, a lot of their constituents fit the description of a suspected terrorist. A lot of far-right lunatics fit the description of a domestic terrorist. And obviously far-right lunatics vote Republican. Now, to be fair, if there are any far-left lunatics who have violent tendencies, we should absolutely ban them from having guns too. I'm not trying to pick on the right here, I just think that there's more violent anti-government lunatics on the right. We can also work on making the existing shooters less lethal by banning hollow points, banning armor-piercing rounds, banning those bump stocks and kits that make a semi-automatic into a fully automatic. What the fuck do you need any of that for? Changing gears here, and I know I'm not the first person to point this out, I think it's interesting that the conservatives love to talk about how much they support our troops and the police, and yet part of the reason they have guns is in case they have to kill police or troops if the government becomes tyrannical. Come on, guys. Be consistent. And one more thing. The people who are against universal health care and have a positively erotic affinity for guns don't get to lecture me on the sanctity of life. No, you don't. The people who literally do not care how many people die from gun violence as long as they keep their right to own a device whose only purpose is to kill don't get to tell me that every life is precious and sacred. Alright, that's where I'm going to leave this. I hope you've enjoyed this two-part conversation on gun control. I really look forward to reading your thoughts in the comments below. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. I'd love to have you subscribe and join me for future conversations and check out my previous videos for other ones. If you're a current subscriber, I very much appreciate your continued support. Thank you so much. It's been great talking with you guys. Long days and pleasant nights.